This is the M2, and it's the most anticipated BMW in years. It follows the same recipe as the 1 Series M Coupe, borrowing parts from the bigger, wider M4. To fit that hardware, it gets bulging fenders that give it a good old-fashioned, awesome bulldog stance. But is this one a real M car, or the sort of thing marketing departments dream up and enthusiasts dismiss? Stay tuned, and we'll find out.
Hello, this is the BMW M2. Isn't it cute? That is the BMW M4. Isn't it beautiful? The question on your mind is gonna be, how fast is it? So right off the bat, 0 to 60, identical. Skid pad, identical. Braking distance, identical. Figure 8, identical. In fact, the only place where the M4 performs better than the M2 is after 60 miles an hour. But really, is it me and my poor battered driver's license, or does what happens after 60 miles an hour just not matter at all unless you're at a racetrack?
Jason, M2, blah, 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 blah. If the M2 is such hot dookie, why don't we find out on a racetrack if the little brother can keep up with the big boy?
All right, I'll get in the little brother and you get in the big boy.
Better stand on it.
I stand on your head in a minute. Call Randy Popst.
I don't see Randy Pope in your contacts. Perhaps you meant one of these?
Call Randy effin' Popst. She got
Calling
it.
Randy effin' Popst.
This is Randy's Racing and Wrecking Service.
You can show me how it's done, sir.
Oh, damn, look at that M2, woo! I got the late apex, woo!
But you're not getting past me, not yet. All right, you want to come around me?
What is all that braking?
No! You are all over the place.
Wait, here we go. You always say you'll do anything to get sideways, and you did.
Maybe a little bit faster, but this car is so much easier to control that I can do it. Look at that beautiful sideways.
That was beautiful. You look really good in my rearview mirror.
All right, so I didn't hit you, which you thought I was gonna do.
Thank you for that, Jason, and I didn't hit you either.
Thank you for that.
I thank the racing gods for that.
BMW thanks us both for that, but here's the thing. We had a lot of fun, we were playing around, but there were a lot of times when we weren't, and you couldn't seem to get away from me. Am I just that fast, or you're Randy effin' Popst?
Well, you've been watching the racing line.
This is true.
But it looked to me like the cars were pretty evenly matched, more than I would have ever expected.
Of course, what I really want to know is what's going to happen when we put you both in the car. So cue the special effects people. We're going to get the M4 on one side and the M2 on the other. We're going to put Randy in both. And through the magic of television, or whatever this is called, we're going to show you which is faster. Randy's inside crying because he was so upset that the M2 is faster, but the M2 is faster. And as much as I'm a fan of the M2 because it's more fun than the M4, all right, so the 2 Series is a bit of a tub, but it doesn't matter. It actually beat the M4 around a track. And I think that comes down to it's predictable, it's easy, it loves to rotate. It's a car that you or I can get into a track and get right to its limits without risking spinning. With that said, these are road cars, and their road performance and the fun and the experience is kind of a lot more important. So let's leave the track, let's go out on the road, and let's talk about how awesome the M2 is.
On the road, this thing is a riot. It is so much fun, and that's something I really didn't think BMW was capable of doing anymore. I mean, the engine just sings, the steering tells me everything I need to know. But before I say another nice word about this car, I need to go on a little bit of a rant. Here's the thing. When you downshift, the computer automatically blips the throttle for you, and I have a big problem with that. In fact, I think someone in Germany needs to be fired and or killed over this. It shows a fundamental misunderstanding of why someone would buy a 365 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, manual transmission car. I don't want the car to do anything for me. And the only way to turn that stupid automatic blipping off is to disable the stability control. Stability control being the single biggest improvement in vehicular safety since the seatbelt. So basically what BMW is saying to me is, if you want to drive a manual transmission the way a manual transmission was designed to be driven, you have to risk dying. Okay, I feel better now. This motor sounds so good. Unlike the M4, which sounds like it's choking on concrete, this thing makes all the pretty straight 6 noises. It revs all the way to 7 grand, makes power basically the whole way there. I'm not exactly sure how this car has the same suspension and steering as the M3 because it feels nothing like it. There is no dead spot on center at all. It's electrically power assisted, so there's not that really crazy, great, amazing, fine stuff. But had electric power steering started out like this, we would have never complained about it in the first place. It's really good. All right, here's the thing. Whether this car is faster than an M4 or not, I couldn't care less. It's fun, and that's something we haven't seen from BMW since, I don't know, the 1M Coupe. Speaking of the 1M Coupe, when M made that thing, they didn't call it the M1, and that was for good reason. It wasn't really a fully baked M product. This is kind of the same thing. They're calling it the M2, but it's the same basic idea as the 1M Coupe. It has a non-M engine. Hey, it's a turbocharged straight 6, I don't care. But a lot of the things that you'd find in every other M product are missing here, starting with a temperature gauge. I'd really love to see an oil temp gauge for an M car, but this has nothing, or you can call up some little display that says, okay, and I suspect we'll say okay until the engine is basically melted into a pile of molten aluminum. Every other M car has a button where you can adjust steering, another one for suspension, another one for throttle calibration, and then stability. In this car, you're stuck with BMW's Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus settings, and you don't have memory for it. Like, this is the M3 steering wheel, and right here and here are where 2 buttons go, where you can store 2 different preferences. M1 for driving like a reasonable human being, M2 for driving like a jerk. They're missing. And so why is all this stuff missing? Chances are it's for cost cutting. See, BMW doesn't like to spend money these days. And you want an example of it? The E90 M3 had this beautiful leather trim that was stamped to make it look like carbon fiber, and it was gorgeous. They've captured the essence of that in crappy stamped plastic on this car. Come on, guys, really? Yes, this car is cheaper than an M235i would be comparably equipped, but there's a lot of cost cutting, and one thing in particular, this seat, which I'll demonstrate to you after I gracefully climb into the back seat. Ow! it's probably done for crash. See, rather than engineering the car properly for side impact from the get-go, BMW just moved the seat inward to cheat a little bit. The problem is it's very expensive to move a steering wheel. So they did a bit of a cheap trick and just tweaked the seat sideways so that you're still aimed at the steering wheel. The problem is you're looking straight at the front left headlight. It's one of these cost-cutting decisions that makes you want to... Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because, see this badge? It is the best driving M product on the road today. And frankly, yeah, okay, seat's crooked, don't care. Don't care because while the 2 Series suffers from modern BMW cost cutting, the M2 is a sign that someone's paying attention over at M. They spent the time to tune this car, to refine it, and to make it do more than just post great numbers. Sure, the M2 has warts, but they're all minor things like missing temperature gauges and stupid throttle blipping. The important stuff is all there. A singing straight 6 under the hood, flared fenders, rear wheels on fire. Oh, and most importantly, an idiot with a big grin in the crooked driver's seat. This is a real driver's car, the kind of car we didn't think BMW was even capable of building these days. It's no exaggeration to say the M2 marks the return of the ultimate driving machine. Welcome back, BMW.